What do they pay?
Yeah, I haven't done it.
Education pays only if they do it, right?
Okay.
That's crazy. All right.
Good evening, everybody. It's 7 p.m. Welcome to the Shenandoah City Council meeting for December 14th. Look around and I see that everyone is present here, so we do have a quorum. We're going to stand up and say the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by an invocation, if you will remain standing. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. On the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
The invocation is going to be done by Councilman Fletcher.
Heavenly Father, we come to you in Jesus' name, Lord, and we thank you for this time that we can gather together in this place. And Father, we just ask first and foremost, Lord, that you would give us your blessing on our city, as you have in many years past, that you would for the years to come. Father, I pray that you would give us wisdom and discernment, understanding tonight to be able to make the decisions that are best, first for you, our residents, our businesses, and the rest of our city, God. Father, we look to you as our source in all things. We give you glory and honor. And God, we thank you for, especially this time of season, and the many events and the hustle and the bustle, and even the lighting of our angels. God, we do it to honor you and your Son and at the time of his birth now. We ask, Lord, that you would bless our staff here, Lord, that you would be with them through this season, that you would keep them safe, that you bless their families greatly and during this time. Father, we lift up our first responders. Ask, Lord God, that you would watch over them, guide and protect them in all that they do. It's in your Son, Jesus' name, that we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Before we move on to item number 5, Citizens Forum, I'd like to take a moment and, on behalf of the city, to express our city's condolences to the family of Mr. John Rivas, a longtime resident of Shenandoah. He passed away on November the 5th. I just personally learned about this. I met Mr. Rivas during our campaign, and I appreciated his service. He's a former Marine, and he also served for quite a while in P&Z here in Shenandoah. So our deepest condolences to the Rivas family. All right, having said that, we're going to move to Citizens Forum. So the first speaker we have is Charlie Balmer.
Good evening, Council. Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to all of you first. I wanted to just share some feedback, because I think feedback can be a gift in any way, whether it comes up as positive or negative. But in this case, it's very highly positive. Unfortunately, I was not available to come to the last City Council meeting to hear directly when you were conversing about, especially in particular, the extension of the David Vetter Memorial Road and that project finally getting kicked off. And of course, the great, I don't know if it was officially considered a ribbon cutting or not, but the kickoff of that groundbreaking that happened was really nice to watch and to see the participation from the different county folks. But I did want to share that during the Lighting of the Angels, although they weren't speaking directly to me, I heard quite a few people make comments about how positive they thought it was that we were having the work that's going to be done at Research Forest, the extension of the David Vetter Memorial. But in particular, I do have a friend that is an EMS person, and he specifically said, he knows I live in Shenandoah, and he specifically said that they are incredibly pleased that that is going on, because for years they've had challenges, especially during rush hour, if there's ever a need to get up into that Methodist area. And it's going to be a huge welcome relief for them to have other venues for them to be able to traverse down there. So know that it's warming their hearts out there. That's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Charlie.
Thank you. Next is Ritzy Fletcher.
Well, hello, everybody. It's nice to be home. Been caring for my parents for a while and the little ones, and it's nice to be home. I wanted to tell you thank you for standing up for the victims of pedophilia. The children are the last to be heard. Lots of people just kind of shoo them away, and they're not believed. And your stance on standing firm, on not allowing any doorway at all, not even open anything, to other people coming back into our city once they've committed this heinous crime. I thank you for standing for the victims. And it says a lot about the city of Shenandoah that you would stand with the victims. And even when somebody is coming and saying that, their father is old and they want a exemption, you have decided to not open that door, and you've decided to stand with the victims. And that is, I'm gonna cry. Those babies will never, ever, ever recover in their little minds from what was done to them. And so what you have done is you have stood up with the children. And you also are keeping Shenandoah safer by your stance. And I hope that the other cities in Montgomery County will look at you and they will do the same. Secondly, I'm so proud of your service, Ted. And in lieu of us buying more properties here, I think that I am all for you running again. And I'm saying that in front of everyone because I think that you've done an excellent job. Not only are you my husband, but I'm your greatest critic and I'm your greatest love. And you've done a fantastic job on this team, and some of the things that you have led, I think that Shenandoah needs more of that. And so I am going to encourage you not to step down, and I'm going to encourage you to run. Thank you, gentlemen, for everything, and Merry Christmas to everyone. Thank you, City.
Thanks, Ritzy.
Thank you. Next in line, Gene Teague.
Hi. Good evening, council, staff.
Good evening, Jane.
At Planning and Zoning meeting last night, I spoke about 2 agenda items. The first was changes that should be made to the comprehensive plan. The second was a public hearing to consider the recommendations to City Council about the same plan. The agenda packet was missing specific information on the potential changes to the comprehensive plan. The detailed purpose of the public hearing was also missing. Surprisingly, this was the same format of the November 15, 2022 meeting. I formally requested future agendas include detailed information and actual topics specified for public hearings. The items were deferred to the January meeting, and the commission and Mr. Farabee agreed that the agenda could be better. Later in last night's meeting, Mr. Farabee identified the Tamina area as the area of discussion during previous meetings. So last night I specifically asked Mr. Farabee to identify the tract of land he referenced during the November 15 meeting that may be put up for sale. He responded he did not previously identify that property. However, today I listened to the November meeting, and I would like to read into the record the statement made by Mr. Farabee during the November 15 meeting. Quote, "At the December meeting, City Council is going to vote on whether or not to sell this particular tract. And that's what the developer has asked us to do, is to put it up for sale." End quote. So although he said he wouldn't identify the tract last night, it seems like he already had back in November. I think the best way for the public to have access to the information discussed at the P&Z meeting is to live stream them like City Council meetings. Thank you, and I wish everybody a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Christmas to you.
Next, Gary Watts.
just changed my agenda. Council, Mayor, thank you for having me up here. To go along with what Ritzy just mentioned, I just wanted to point out that my daughter-in-law is the Chief Legal Officer for the Texas Advocacy Project, which she has prosecuted over 3,000 pedophiles, mentally, sexually, physically abused. So thank you for bringing that up. That's her life. She started a project. She got the endowment from the University of Texas, which she graduated from, and she also got the Supreme Justice of the State of Texas Award for Boots on the Ground as the most pro bono, hardworking attorney in the state of Texas, all in child abuse, mentally, sexually, and physically. I'm here tonight just to talk a little bit about Joel Gordon, who I admire because of his Citizens Academy that he's done for the residents here, and learn about how the police department works, the interactions, different job responsibilities. He's put a number of people through that academy. I think he graduated 12 out of the last academy. I've taken that same idea because we've talked about tax rates, water rates, trash issues, traffic issues, police presence at school stops, school buses, in the neighborhoods, and things of that nature. But we've never talked about code enforcement for residential. We've had a number of code enforcement officers in the last number of years. It was under the police department's jurisdiction for a number of years, and then we went through 2 or 3 other people. I'm not sure who we have now. How much time I got? Well, anyway, I've had a couple experiences with code enforcement, three times. And I'm not naming any names, but 3 times I came up here and they apologized for not reading the code right. I think we ought to have a program so that the homeowners, and we have a lot of elderly people that really can't, they're on a fixed budget, they can't fix up their houses. I've got well over 7 figures invested in this city in homes and property. And we have a lot of absentee ownerships. I'd like to see those landlords at least get a memo from the city that here's what you expect, no cars in the front yard, take your trash cans back in a timely manner, things that are just common sense to most of us who have investments in the city of Shenandoah, but they aren't here, they're absentee. And I think also if we had an audience in here, they would talk about how long can you have those blue tarps, how many cars can you have in your driveway. There's a guy on Shenandoah, it's a fire hazard as far as I'm concerned. You can't even get to his front door. It's overgrown with weeds. He's got trailers, he's got boats, he's got cars on jacks, he's got other stuff. A fireman would be in jeopardy just trying to help him out. So that was my project. My point is that can we get a little meeting together with residents and let's go over some of the basic codes that we all know and understand. I think it'd be good for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Next, Jeno, Houston.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, staff. I wanted to let you know that I also attended the P&Z meeting last night. Had a very good conversation. Bill, thank you for the good public hearing. I appreciated your conversation and the answers that you provided for us. I also appreciated some of the considerations that you went forward with in providing some additional information. Thank you for that. And Jackie, I also wanted to tell you thank you for a good back and forth conversation, some of the aspects that you presented and the ability to enter in during that public meeting. So thank you for that. I think where I want to go here again is, Mayor, I would like to ask if we could consider scheduling a town hall. Again, if you would schedule a town hall, we could submit our questions in advance so nobody feels blindsided. I know people can probably ask questions kind of off the cuff, but it truly is an opportunity to come in and get information and have conversation, as opposed to waiting until a public hearing where, as we discussed last night, and as the chair of the commission, Commissioner Stevens, kind of indicated that sometimes even the commissions or the councils aren't getting information until maybe right before meetings are occurring. Now, if that's the case, then that presents a different set of questions. But let's take it on its face, and if that is the case, then maybe more information needs to come out earlier. And in the 2016 and 2017, Councilman Raymaker suggested that the agendas would be published up to 10 days in advance, which would actually have them come out not too long after a city council meeting, and then have them available for the next city council meeting. My addendum to that would be, okay, if we wanted to do that, then that could be, maybe they could be updated on the Friday before the agenda, before the city council meeting. There are some options there. And, you know, Councilman Raymaker, I do kind of agree, 10 days might be a little bit harder to put those out in advance, but I think we're having conversations, you know, because when we're talking in P&Z in the October meeting, we were talking about some of these things that are happening over in Tamina, and part of that is the discussion of the changes to the comprehensive plan. And in just my 25 seconds that I have left, I'm just going to ask again. I asked at the public hearing last time I was here about why were we annexing then, and why were we annexing what we were annexing. Last night we talked about a developer who has requested the sale of a certain piece of property over in Tamina. I would ask that we have the residents and the people over in Tamina talk to them first before we start putting it out to the developers. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we're going to move on to item number 6, presentation of the MDD report.
Okay. November update, MDD approved $18,000 to upgrade 4 problematic streetlights on Pine Forest with hardwired ones. Good decision. MDD approved releasing $350,000 from Phase 1 of the Vision Park projects for the amenity Phase 2. And they also approved $5,000 of equipment replacement fund for pool furniture. Looking down the list, a lot of the projects, they're still in their early stages, but we put in the high-level schedule for the majority of them, so you can read that there. And tonight we'll be voting on awarding the Shenandoah Park Drive asphalt replacement project. Some of the older projects, the Vision Park Deepen Amenity, that's underway. Work commenced on 10/24, and you can see the schedule here for Phase 2, which is going to be bidding in January, council award in February, and construction starting in February to August timeframe. Toddler Park, the bid has been approved and construction is going to begin December to January. I've also updated the slide for the capital projects for David Memorial. You can see all the funding that's been approved for that. So I don't need to read that out loud, but we're still working on interlocal agreements with stakeholders for some land acquisition, right-of-way acquisition. IDC, we're going to get an update tonight from Bill. I put the I-45 intersection improvements on here, even though they're not MDD projects anymore. This is totally sponsored by Commissioner Riley. So, but I did want to have some information available so that people could see what's going on with the project. So, even though we don't fund this one right now, you'll be able to get updates. And similarly, I had staff add 2 additional slides, one for general fund and water and sewer enterprise fund projects. And you can see the schedule for these. These are mostly approved out of the budget process, but just so that there's, you know, a place where people can go to see consistently where updates are going on. Again, we've got the schedule up here for several of the projects. And likewise, we added a slide for the Metro Park PID and ARPA funded projects. This does not include the $21 million project at this point, but we'll be adding updates for that as we go along here. But, you know, just so that people can see the value that they're getting from expenditures made by the PID. And I think that's it.
How much money is going back to MDD from the I-45 research forest?
I don't have a number on that.
Joseph, do you
Joseph
know?
might know.
I don't have an exact number. I know that we are asking for reimbursement for the design fees. but I don't have
But
that
there was
number in
money
front of
set
me.
That'd be about
aside.
it.
Well, I think we already
Right.
released those.
They
funds. We
released it?
released
They
those
rolled it
funds
back in.
before,
Okay.
yeah. So the funds had been held back and we released those, I think, during the budget workshop. Pretty close during that time.
Yeah, I just wanted the public to
Yeah.
know how much money we saved on this.
Yeah, we've
I
got,
believe it was like 1.3 million, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah, right now for the right-of-way acquisition, we've got 140,000 that's allocated.
No, he's talking about when we were the ones that.
Oh, yeah.
We
We're
were
pulling the
looking
project
at-
together
Yeah.
between.
The city was
2,
looking
3,
at a
4.
total
It
upwards of
was-
2 million
Yeah, it was
contribution.
2 million. Okay.
Yeah. And I think we reallocated those funds back to David Memorial.
That's correct.
Yeah. All right, thank you, Councilwoman Raymaker. Item number 7, update regarding the IDC revision project. Mr. Farrell.
Council, planning and zoning is near the completion of its review and recommendations regarding our 497-page, 22-chapter IDC. Planning and zoning so far has completed its review of all of our zones. We'll be making recommendations in the future to eliminate some of the zones in the city that have never been used and are unlikely to be used in the future. In addition, planning and zoning will be making recommendations to convert the C3 zone into what would be a redevelopment district that then could be moved and applied as appropriate. Planning and zoning reviewed all of the changes the legislature made in the last legislative session and has gone into the IDC where the legislature made things more restrictive. Will be making proposals to comply with state law. There were areas where the legislature actually relaxed some of the restrictions, and planning and zoning then looked at those and will be making recommendations for changes there. Planning and zoning has studied extensively the restrictions that currently exist, in particular with home generators. IDC makes it very difficult at times to have a home generator, and we will be making recommendations to make that far less cumbersome, expensive, and timely for citizens. Planning and zoning is currently working on a home office situation, which is generally not allowed by the IDC. We've spent 2 meetings talking about the problems in that area. Next meeting, we will be looking at what other cities are doing, and we hope to have a recommendation to City Council on that issue in a couple of months. When that is complete, we will simply have left a number of technical issues in Chapter 5, which are technical construction issues that have come up over the years, and then our IDC review will be complete. At that stage, with your permission, we would like to bring the IDC back and to divide it into sections, much like we do with our annual budget, and discuss at one meeting certain changes, another meeting other changes, third other changes, etc. That will give council time to review those changes, as well as the public time to see those changes and have an opportunity to make comments. So that is where we are, and I would anticipate, with any luck, we will have this completed the first half of next year. We also, I should add, are looking at proposed bills in front of the legislature, and if we think that there are any that will affect us, we're going to address those before we bring these revisions back.
Thanks, Bill.
Thank you, Bill.
And thanks for enduring my nagging.
All right, item number 8, Discussion and possible action to approve a full-time employee as executive assistant.
Yes, Mayor and Council, staff is going to be extremely busy over the next several years, working the different projects that we currently have and have coming up, as well as new programs. Just a quick example, just about each week, I personally meet with the Public Works Department staff, and we have a list of all the capital projects that are ongoing, and we've got 25 right now. Of course, when I add the Pine Forest, which didn't come from a budget workshop, we're going to have the full alphabet because I have it lettered, so we'll have A to Z once I add that. Keep staff very busy. We had a lot of programs that council has desired, and so that's when staff decided we're going to need some additional help. And that's for the executive assistant here. I will note that budget, or that position existed 5 years ago. Then due to some staffing changes, she became the city administrator or city secretary, and that position was never refilled. So just wanted to get that information out there. So the request is for that position, and you'll see a breakout in the agenda report for the costs associated with that for a full year.
I'll make a motion to approve this position.
Second?
We have a motion to approve by Councilman McLeod, seconded by Councilman Raymaker. Any discussion?
No, thanks, Joseph, for the background. I know we did put that on hold way back in 2017 or so, and trying to push everybody to be as efficient as possible, but now the workload has just gotten to be too big. So I think we have enough work to justify the position now and bring it back.
And the understanding is this is going to be a budget amendment item.
That's correct.
Any more comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 9. Discussion and possible action regarding an emergency expenditure over $15,000 due to a water line break at 120 Vision Park.
Yes, on November 16th, the city experienced a major water line, a 16-inch, which is it's a big water line, burst there just north of Vision Park. We had to have an emergency repair, and so we called our repair company that we use for all of our repairs, and they were able to get in there and get that repair taken care of within a day. And once we had it isolated, we didn't have any customers out of service, thankfully. But since that expense was over the city administrator's allowable limit, it's coming back to you for ratification, and it does qualify for an emergency repair.
Motion to approve the emergency expenditure?
Second.
We have a motion to approve the emergency expenditure by Councilman Raymaker, seconded by Councilman McLeod. Any discussion?
I would just like to ask that, and this is going to come with Lisa, that we pay this out of available cash as opposed to a budget amendment for this item. It's a one-time emergency item. It's kind of one of the reasons
I agree.
we'd like to have cash on hand.
Doesn't this actually come out of the water sewer fund anyway?
Well, I guess it's a water sewer.
Yes,
isn't it?
it'll come out of
Yeah,
the enterprise
general.
fund.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's not going to be yeah.
All right.
Out of the cash on hand as opposed to, yeah.
Any additional discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Item number 10, discussion and possible action regarding a purchase from the Equipment Replacement Fund.
This item is to purchase a replacement 4x4. We sold one of our Polaris Ranger EVs, 4x4, and this is to replace the absence created by the sale of that equipment. The price includes, the only item we added was a polycarbonate roof, wanted a roof on top. Otherwise, it's stock, has a dump bed like any of the other 4x4 utility vehicles that we've had before. They work great for our needs, That total price for the unit itself is $13,523. I'm going to ask for an additional $2,477, make that an even $16,000, and that additional funds will pay for the lights and decals.
Move that we approve the purchase from the equipment replacement.
Second.
We have a motion to approve the request by Councilman Fletcher, seconded by Councilman Pollard.
And
Any discussion?
just to clarify, the fact that we were able to sell that means that we're actually not zeroing out our balance in equipment replacement.
That's
We're
correct.
actually going to have some money left to start off.
Right, because we've been socking away money for 7 years on that item, and we got almost $8,000 with the sale of our old unit.
Good.
So then the money stays in the equipment replacement fund then?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Item number 11, discussion and possible action to award a contract for the asphalt replacement on Shenandoah Park Drive.
Yes, this was one of the capital projects that was funded at the last budget workshop. We were pleasantly surprised to see that we were able to get a price that allowed staff to just solicit competitive bids because it was under $50,000. So we were able to do that, and the best price we got was from LHO, which is a company that we've used before. They do good work. And the final price was $41,500, and we had $70,000 budgeted for that project. So we came in under.
Motion to approve.
Second?
We have a motion to approve by Councilman Brat, seconded by Councilman Raymaker. Discussion?
How many bids were there then?
We got 3 bids. There was another that was close to this and another that was way out there.
Good for a low price project.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fantastic price for that work.
We were very happy with this. I had hopes, but I always budget cautiously, but they came through. You just don't know with concrete. Depends on availability, what other work they have. It's kind of a hit and miss. You just don't know.
I'd love to hear those words, coming in under budget. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Item number 12, presentation of a final report regarding special use permit for food and beverage retail sales for Craze located at 1500 Research Forest Drive, suite number 110.
Mayor and Council, for consideration this evening is an application for use permit for 1500 Research Forest Suite 110 for the proposed tenant Gray's Craze. They are a charcuterie board and box retail store. Therefore, their classification in the IDC, the food and beverage retail sales, is fitting for them, and they're located in the Neighborhood Services District, which is the requirement for the special use permit. Planning and Zoning reviewed their request during their November and December meeting and unanimously recommend approval.
Thank you, Jackie. Item number 13, public hearing regarding a special use permit for food and beverage retail sales. We'll open up the public meeting at 7:33. Does anyone wish to speak on this matter? If not, public hearing is closed at 7:34. Item number 14, discussion and possible action to adopt the following ordinance. An ordinance of the City of Shenandoah, Texas, amending the Code of Ordinances, Chapter 102, granting a special use permit for a food and beverage retail sales permit for Gray's Craze located at 1500 Research Forest Drive, Suite 110, Shenandoah, Texas, providing for a penalty in the amount of $2,000 for violation thereof, providing severability and providing for an effective date.
Motion
Have a motion.
to adopt an ordinance granting the special use permit for said property.
Second. We have a motion to approve the SUP by Councilman Brat, seconded by Councilman Pollard. Any discussion?
Yeah, I just want to mention to the attorney that I hope this is one of these little tweaks that we're going to be making to the code. Seems like a fairly a no-brainer, but if we could think about how we could tweak this to make it automatic.
Yeah, it's because it's neighborhood services that it's,
Yeah, I
yes.
understand.
But yes,
I'm just saying, this is one of these things, that this is why we're doing this IDC rewrite. So.
Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Item number 15, presentation of a final report regarding special use permit for convenience sales and personal services for Surreal Creamery, located at 1500 Research Forest Drive, Suite 170.
Mayor and council, the proposed special use permit as requested by Surreal Creamery for 1500 Suite 170 falls under the convenience sales and personal services, and the location is also within the neighborhood service zoning district, which requires the special use permit. The Planning and Zoning Commission reviewed this application at their November and December meeting and also unanimously recommend approval of the use permit.
Thank you, Jake. Item number 16, public hearing regarding special use permit for convenience sales and personal services. We'll open up the public hearing at 7:36 p.m. Does anyone wish to speak on this matter? Having no one here to speak on this matter, we'll close the public hearing at 7:37. Item number 17, discussion and possible action to adopt the following ordinance. An ordinance of the City of Shenandoah, Texas, amending the Code of Ordinances, Chapter 102, granting a special use permit for a convenience sales and personal services permit for Surreal Creamery located at 1500 Research Forest Drive, Suite 170, Shenandoah, Texas, providing for a penalty in the amount of $2,000 for violations thereof, providing severability, and providing for an effective date.
Motion to approve the special use permit.
Second.
We have a motion to approve by Councilman Raymaker, seconded by Councilman Fletcher. Any discussion on this?
It's good to have people who want to come to Shenandoah.
That's right, yeah.
Especially if they're making ice cream.
When's that grand opening?
I'm disappointed they didn't bring
Samples, yeah.
We'll talk to them about the 4th of July.
Right. All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Item number 18, presentation of a final report regarding variance to City Shenandoah zoning ordinance allowing for encroachment of a generator and equipment within the side building setback for 115 Lily Landry Court.
The property located at 115 Lily Landry Court in the Marion subdivision has requested a variance for the placement of a generator and the equipment to encroach within an existing 4-foot side building setback located on the right side of the home. The generator and equipment within the setback and utility easement is due to the easement space between the homes and the proximity to the existing HVAC and other equipment on the property. The Planning and Zoning reviewed this request during their November and December meeting and unanimously recommend approval of this variance application.
Motion to approve the variance for the generator.
Go ahead, public hearing.
Oh, sorry.
Item number 19, public hearing regarding a variance to City Shenandoah zoning ordinances allowing for encroachment of a generator and equipment within the side of the building setback. We'll open up the public hearing at 7:39. Does anyone wish to speak on this matter? Having no one here to speak on the matter, we'll close this public hearing at 7:39. Item number 20, discussion and possible action to adopt the following ordinance. An ordinance of the City of Shenandoah, Texas, amending the Code of Ordinances, Chapter 102, to approve a variance to the City of Shenandoah zoning ordinance, providing for encroachment of a generator and equipment into a side building setback line for 115 Lily Landry Court, Shenandoah, Texas, providing for a penalty in the amount of $2,000 for violation thereof, providing severability, and providing for an effective date.
Now I make a motion to approve the variance for the
Now, the
generator.
motion is made by Councilman Rainmaker
I'll second it.
and seconded by Councilman Fletcher. Any discussion? Is this going to be another one that's going to be fixed by the IDC? Great. That'll be more convenient for residents. I hear so much about that,
Yes.
especially in my neighborhood. Lots are not, a lot narrower in the newer subdivisions
And a lot less costly for them too, because while they don't have to pay for permits, they do have to pay to go through the variance process, which is
yeah,
almost $2,000.
yeah, yeah. So
So-
this is going to be good.
A big help to the community.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Item number 21, presentation of a final report regarding variance to City of Shenandoah zoning ordinance allowing for encroachment of a generator and equipment within the side building setback of 169 Silverwood Ranch Drive.
The property owner at 169 Silverwood Ranch Drive has requested a variance application for placement of a generator and its equipment within its 5-foot side setback line, also the right side of the home. The generator and equipment was selected in this location due to the proximity to the existing pool and HVAC equipment, and the ability to limit the number of ground connections for the gas lines, and reduces the damage to existing outlets for the placement within the side yard. This is in the Silverwood Ranch, or the R6 zoning district. The Planning and Zoning did review this request as well during their last 2 meetings and recommends approval of the variance.
Thank you. Public hearing regarding a variance to, item number 22, public hearing regarding a variance to City of Shenandoah zoning ordinances allowing for the encroachment of generator and equipment within the side building setback. We'll open up the public hearing at 7:42. Does anyone wish to speak on this matter? Having no one here to speak on this matter, we'll close the public hearing at 7:43. Item number 23, discussion and possible action to adopt the following ordinance. An ordinance of the City of Shenandoah, Texas, amending the Code of Ordinances, Chapter 102, to approve a variance to the City of Shenandoah zoning ordinance, providing for encroachment of a generator and equipment into a side building setback line for 169 Silverwood Ranch Drive, Shenandoah, Texas, providing for a penalty in the amount of $2,000 for violations thereof, providing severability, and providing for an effective date. We have a motion.
Move to approve the variance.
We have a motion by Councilman Fletcher to approve the variance,
A second?
seconded by Councilman Pollard. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Item number 24, discussion and possible action to ratify the accounts payable for November 2022.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion to ratify the accounts payable for November 22 by Councilman Brott, seconded by Councilman Fletcher. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Item number 25, Civic Club updates. Mr. Balmer.
Good evening, council. Just have a couple of them because we do have, all of it was probably the busiest time of year with Lighting of the Angels. We don't have a lot of other things that are coming up. But on that note, we had Lighting of the Angels. I've been here 3 years. It was just that next step above, even better than we've had in previous years. So hopefully we'll just continue to keep making it better and better. We're finding new ways to do things and new ways to celebrate. And we had a ton of commitment. So thanks to everyone on the city staff that came over and helped out, especially the public works. They worked their little booties off on the day. But we got everything set up. The folks that were there absolutely enjoyed it. So that was a huge success, and obviously we'll be doing that again next year. The other event that we just had this last Saturday, which was also the biggest that I've seen, was the workday for the lighting of the luminaries. So we had participation from Troop 889 from in the Woodlands. So the Boy Scouts came out and helped. It was great to see them participating with us. The parents were out there as well. So hopefully we'll see them continue to participate in our activities that allow them to earn those service hours. Plus it's obviously very helpful for those things to happen. And we literally rocked through, I think, almost 500 luminaries in just over an hour and a half or so. We actually had to tell them to stop making them because they were doing it so quickly. So that brings me to the last item that's coming up, and that is the actual lighting of the luminaries on Christmas Eve. So we do have all of our entrances already taken care of, so we'll be setting those out and lighting those luminaries about 6 o'clock so that the entrances will be there. I know there's been a lot of interest from folks coming up and doing their own. So I know that I personally will be out through the community helping others, just get their set up. So I do invite anybody. I'll put this on Facebook as well. If they need some assistance that evening, just reach out to me. I'll make sure that we've got some folks that can help with that. And also, if they just need some assistance getting their supplies together, I don't mind either coming up and just doing some more bags, or if they want to, just need some help getting them loaded into their car. I work from home, so I'm typically pretty available to just come up here and meet somebody here as well. And that's it. We don't actually have a meeting in December, so our next one will be in January. And hopefully, when we get into the new year, we'll start to get some more interest from the other residents in the community, so that we can just build our civic club even bigger and better. Thank you.
Thanks, Charlie.
Thank you, Charlie. Item number 26, city attorney updates.
Yes, I've got one. Apparently, there was some report that the city had lost the OHA appeal. That is wrong. To clarify, in the appeal, the city made two arguments. One, that there was no active pleadings against the city, and therefore the court could not grant a summary judgment against the city as requested by OHA. And number two, we told the court that if there were active pleadings against the city, that the trial court was correct when it granted a summary judgment in favor of the city. The Court of Appeals agreed with the city on its first point of error, holding that OHA had no active pleadings against the city. Therefore, the court was without jurisdiction to grant any relief at all related to the city. Because there were no active pleadings against the city was dismissed from the appeal. So any comments to the contrary, take a simple reading of the Court of Appeals opinion to read what actually happened. Thank you.
Does Jack Dorsey run that?
While we're on the city attorney updates here, I read a similar report that made reference to a case back in July, I believe, where it referenced that the city lost in a case in which the Attorney General was involved in regarding documentation and releasing the documents. And that through that, we as the city were, not only did we lose the case, but we were required to pay attorney fees, not our attorney fees, but opposing counsel's attorney fees. Have we ever paid opposing counsel fees for anything?
That also is incorrect. We did not handle that. I am aware of that situation. Our TML attorneys, frankly, did not properly make an attorney general complaint over some record request. the city, the TML attorneys on behalf of the city agreed to produce those documents. The other side asked the court to award attorney fees, and the attorney fee was denied. So, first of all, it was an agreement by the city, by our TML lawyers, to produce those documents rather than fight it, and there were no attorney fees.
And then also with something that was actually brought up earlier tonight that I know that we've discussed in executive council regarding parcels across the freeway here in our ETJ. And I just want to make sure that I'm of the right understanding here, and that any parcels that would be up for sale would not be sold to a specific developer. Is that our process as a city? Can you explain what our process is?
Yes.
As the city, and why
yes.
that would never happen to begin with?
I
just want to make, and I don't mean to cut you off, but
no,
I just want to make sure, because we get all this, people coming up all the time, you're not transparent, you're holding things back, you're not telling us everything that's going on.
It's exactly why, it's exactly why this is not on this agenda.
Exactly.
Number one, any sale will have to be approved by City Council, so it will be on the agenda. In addition to that, City Council has the right to place whatever obligation, and let me start out, I'm sorry, it will be a public, if City Council votes, there will be a public sale. It will be listed in the newspaper. Everyone will be listed on our website. Everyone will be invited to attend and bid on the property. And then also the City Council, if it chooses, can put conditions on the sale, such as a minimum price. The city could say, we reserve the right to reject all bids. We could say we want a right of first refusal. If the property ever were to be sold again, we could put conditions, if it's not developed, that the city could repurchase. And all of those things will be discussed by City Council in a public forum before, and then if you vote to sell the property, all of that will be made public.
So there's no backdoor sales?
There's no backdoor sales.
There's no plan to build higher in that parcel?
There's no plans.
Thank you, Bill.
And taking it a little step further, there is no requirement for the city to get approval from the general public when these actions are considered by the council.
No, it's purely a City Council decision.
It's a City Council decision. Thank you. City Administrator updates.
Yes, I have a few here, so I'll try to move quickly, except for the first one, because it's near and dear to my heart. So bear with me. So on December 6th, we had a groundbreaking ceremony for the David Memorial Extension. City of Shenandoah officials there, City of Conroe officials there, county officials, every player that had a part in making that happen. And the reason it's so near and dear to me is, you know, when I started with the city back in 2006 as a patrol officer, I always wish there was a road there. And, you know, obviously transitioned over to Public Works and then started to work on the process of making that happen. And it was a long process to work and coordinate the three entities that have properties there that needed to work together, working with the federal government, the Army, you know, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. It's been decades in the making, and so it was just awesome to be there at the groundbreaking and to see that finally moving forward. So I just wanted to make that announcement about the groundbreaking and how awesome I think it is. I'll move a little quickly on the others. Unfortunately, I was unable to attend the Lighting of the Angels. I did help set up, but I had to go out of town for training. Kathy did share a comment with me that she wanted me to read. We had several positive comments from our residents, and this is one I just wanted to read. We had a chance to attend the Lighting of the Angels for the first time. It was a class act event. Whoever plans this and pulls it off needs a pat on the back. It was amazing. Thanks. So I'll share my thanks with the Civic Club and all the work they do to plan this. I'm glad that we can help you on that last day. We'll be there for you. But kudos to all the efforts and planning that went into that. It was very appreciated by those who were in attendance. The Senior Rides Mailer, an update on that. It's been a huge success. Those mailers have gone out, and the program office received 56 requests for applications from residents of Shenandoah in 1 week alone, and they're still getting calls. And that mailer, if you recall, is sent to those 60 and over in the city. So, been a great response to that.
How many were mailed out?
I don't have that. I was actually looking at the what we paid, but it doesn't designate in that report.
I think you paid
how many.
Paid $1,690. But I wanted to bring up, while you got it, the great work. My background is advertising, and I was amazed when I got this in the mailbox a couple of weeks ago. I said, holy, that is wonderful. It's simple, it's to the point, it's not so artsy that people will be turned off by it or just throw it away. This is really a good, effective flyer. And I know Courtney, I don't know what her background is in this, but she's darn good at it. And I knew this thing would have great results. I'm very happy to hear that you got that. That was going to be my question tonight, is how many responses we got. That's great for that mailer. Great work, all in all.
Thank you. And finally, the dirt hauling has begun from the Vision Park Detention Pond. So that was started last Saturday, and they're being delivered over to the Metro Park Square. If you recall, the city was able to come to an agreement with the Sam Moon Group, so they will be we'll be sharing the hauling costs for that, which is going to save the city approximately $250,000. That's just for the hauling costs. If we had also had to take care of disposal, that probably would have been an additional $250,000 that the city would have spent. So great to see that project moving forward. And that's all I've got.
Thanks, Joseph.
Thank you, Joseph. Move on to council inquiry. Councilman Raymaker.
We had a great turnout for Lighting of the Angel. That's like the largest number of people I've seen there in years. And that s'mores making area was really busy. So I think that was a big hit. Charlie mentioned the luminaries, and I encourage folks to get out and get into the spirit of the luminaries. Well, I only need to make 2 for my house. I do help make 250 of them for the neighborhood. So it's a good chance to get out and meet with your neighbors. And I did want to thank staff for all their hard work this year. You've been enabling several high visibility projects. Joseph just mentioned the groundbreaking for David Memorial, but just providing so much benefit to the city and to the surrounding areas. And so we keep asking you to do more and more, and we just keep pace with what we keep asking. So we really appreciate all the work that you've done. And I should be making loaves of bread for you instead of the other way around. So, but I did want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a very wonderful New Year. So thanks, guys.
Councilman Fletcher.
I'll follow in Ron's footsteps to give great appreciation for Light of the Angels, another phenomenal event that was provided by our Civic Club, and not just our Civic Club, but the rest of our city staff as well. Everybody in Deers and in providing for services and showing up and just making the event a huge success as it is every year. But this year particularly, as Ron said, seemed to be more people. It flowed much differently this year than it had in previous years, with where different events were set up. It really turned out to be a good thing. So thanks, Debbie and Charlie, for all your guys' hard work, and staff as well. Obviously, huge kudos for the city with the David Memorial Project. That's one of many transportation projects that the city has been working on, not just internally, but obviously with our partners outside of the city. And those relationships are critical for our growth in the community and assuring that transportation flows the way that it should, not just for our residents, but everywhere around us. And so to see a project like that finally come to fruition and all the hard work and the hours behind that, and John Blyle and Blyle Associates for the continuous effort since I've been on council, and I know previous to that, but really for the last 5 to 6 years is when the project really started to gain a lot of momentum, and we begin to see these things come to play. And we couldn't have done it without, the Montgomery County Commissioners Court and the judge, and they helped play a big role in that, as well as the mayor of Conroe, and of course one of the players that we left out that was at the groundbreaking ceremony was when that happens. Methodist.
Methodist
Hospital
Yeah.
was a big player in that, and giving us the access to really go through their backyard, if you would. We couldn't have done it without all of those players, but especially to city staff, that was a big project. Obviously, we're just at the beginning part of the beginning of the fun part, because now we get the ground broke and we go to work. So that's the exciting part. We'll be looking forward to be one of the first cars to have Joel chase up the rest of the way up David Memorial. So again, kudos to staff for all the hard work. But I also want to say a Merry Christmas to everybody and a Happy New Year. I hope you enjoy your family and your friends, and that we all will remember the reason for this season, and that's the birth of our Savior, Jesus Christ. As many heard my wife get up and mention at the end of her time here tonight, one of the things that I've been reconsidering over the last several weeks, as things have changed in my life, and how we've reinvested a lot again back into this area. I'm at this point reconsidering running for council seat, and will plan to file my papers at the beginning of in the middle of January, the first day that it opens. So I will end with that.
Well, lots of great news. Maybe that was as good as any I've heard. Applaud that. I would like also to show my appreciation for the city staff. The city attorney is great. The leader of this city is just phenomenal. I've come to work very closely with her in the last several months, and I just can't believe what a great person she is to bring the whole city together. We've got about 60 employees here, including the 28 in the police department, and everybody just seems to be on the same page, positive, going in the right direction, truly. I'd like to also point out to the person that makes me smile the most. And the first time I ever met him, a smile came across my face. I said, I can't believe this guy is so, loves this community so much, and is such a positive influence from, and anybody that touches him feels that, and it's Charlie Bulmer. my hats are off to you and what you continue to do for the city. Personal investment that you make, going back to following the teachings of your grandfather, being in Boy Scouts, and the leadership things that you do for the Boy Scouts, and bring all of that to our community. It's so much appreciated. And Debbie, you are incredible for helping the Civic Club really stay focused and very, very productive. My hats are off to all of y'all, and I agree that it's a good time to say Merry Christmas to everybody.
I too want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, all the staff. Debbie Pilcher over there, I've been with her in the Civic Club for the last several years, and she's a great leader of that Civic Club. I know Charlie Balmer's going to be a great help for her, and I think the two of them will lead it to further prosperity along with Jim, so that's a good thing. I want to wish all the staff, all the PD, everyone that's involved with the city, and our residents that show up here and talk to us, and everyone else that lives in the city, a very happy New Year and a Merry Christmas. Thank you.
Well, I'm going to embarrass my dad a little bit here. So last week, I want to say happy birthday to Dad. Last week, he turned 80 years old. So I think that's always something worth celebrating. And then tonight is my 31st wedding anniversary, so happy anniversary to my wife. So echo what everybody else said. The staff here has been doing an absolutely fantastic job. We're really moving some projects forward. There's been some stuff that's been hanging around, seems like forever, and it's nice to see those stones and those wheels finally starting to move. So kudos to everyone for all their efforts, and like other people have said, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Enjoy your time off, enjoy your time with your family. That's it.
Thank you. Well, I want to echo everything that's been said. I've got to tell you that I have never been prouder to be the mayor representing the city with all these great people that work under this roof. And the amount of effort that is put by these people in to benefit the city of Shenandoah, especially our police department, who are the ones who keep us safe, comfortable at night. I was so happy to represent the city at our groundbreaking. I know that has been in the works for a very long time. And although I've only been in this position for half a year, I certainly am not going to take any credit for it because all the effort was done well prior. I just stepped in. One person we didn't thank is former Mayor Rich Wheeler.
Yeah.
He carried that torch all the way through, and he is still involved. I reach out to him for assistance with relationships that he has already established that I have yet to concrete for myself. So thank you to Rich Wheeler for all his efforts. Thanks, Public Works. You've been on top of all this. Blyle Engineering, they have been, I don't think we could have done this without John Blyle and his contacts at county. So my eternal gratitude for all of that. I just can't, I pinch myself every morning, and my wife will tell you that this kid who grew up on the streets of the Bronx is sitting in this position in the city of Shenandoah, Texas. I think this is the epitome of my life. You know, it really is. I am a happy man. So I've accomplished a lot during my career, but this is the pinnacle. I want to thank everybody, and I want to wish everybody up here on the dais, everybody under this roof, and everybody out there in Shenandoah a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. All right, there is no executive session tonight, so we will adjourn this session at 8:09.